for a day, so I followed the surveyor. So I learned how to do it. Yeah, it was interesting. There's no way.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our March 10th, 2026 Lake County Board of County Commissioners meeting. We welcome you today. I'm glad that you're with us. We're going to begin the meeting with an invocation that will be given by Pastor Chase Allen of First Baptist Church of Umatilla, and then we'll all remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Amazing. Well, good morning. And as I always do, thank you guys so much for allowing me to be here to represent First Baptist Church of Umatilla, and most importantly, Jesus. So let's open with a word of prayer. Father, thank you so much for waking us up this morning in beautiful Lake County. Thank you for a place that we can be proud of, a place that as we talk and plan and prepare and do all the things that happen in this space, God, that we would continue to remain proud of, that we would continue to point towards your son, Jesus. And so I do pray that you would be with the things that happen in this room today. May they be honoring and pleasing to you in all things, God. And may we live our life to bring you glory. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pastor. All right, agenda update. Jennifer.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. First, tabs 18, 19, and 20 were all added, as well as the annexation report after the agenda was first published. I'm requesting that tabs 18, 19, and 20 be moved under the regular agenda. Tab 13, we did add a business impact statement and an affordable housing impact statement. I'm requesting that we pull tab 14 at this time to be brought back at a later date. And finally, on tab 17, a conflict waiver for Michelle Krusk was added.
All right, and we're pulling 14. Correct?
Yes.
All right. Okay, all right, moving along then, we're going to have a special recognition today. We are honored today to have Miss Florida's Teen Florida with us, and she is a Lake County resident, and I'm going to tell you just a little bit about her, and then we're going to honor her with a certificate of appreciation for the great work that she's doing, and we're just super proud of her. Noelle Schnacky is a lifelong Central Florida resident and a proud Mineola High School graduate whose leadership and advocacy have brought meaningful visibility to Lake County through her work raising awareness to congenital heart defects and promoting cardiovascular health. She's a founder and president of Hope for Heart Kids, a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization that supports children and families impacted by congenital heart defects through hospital book distributions, community outreach, and educational initiatives. Through this work, Noelle's children's book collection has been distributed to pediatric heart patients in 18 states in 3 countries while remaining deeply rooted in service to families and hospitals throughout Lake County and Central Florida. In 2024, she played a key role in supporting Principal Williams Roberts of Lake Mineola High School and receiving the High School Voters Registration Award, highlighting her continued commitment to civic engagement, youth leadership, and educational excellence within our community. Noelle has been honored by Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer for her contributions to the Central Florida community and her efforts to raise awareness for congenital heart defects, the most common birth defect in the United States. She's been recognized locally in the Lake and Style 40 Under 40 as an honoree, highlighting her impact, leadership, and influence in our community. Additionally, she received national distinction as a top 7 Community Service Achievement finalist at Miss America's Teen 2025, recognizing her work among hundreds of young women nationwide for exceptional service, leadership, and civic engagement. Noelle also serves as an American Heart Association Youth Ambassador, advocating for proactive cardiovascular health education, CPR awareness, and heart-healthy lifestyles, with a particular emphasis on engaging Gen Z and youth audiences. And through school visits, community events, public appearances, and digital outreach, She consistently represents Lake County as a positive role model for youth leadership, volunteerism, and public health advocacy. As a Mineola High School alumna, Noelle's legacy continues locally through her support of the Heart of Mineola Scholarship, which recognizes students who demonstrate a commitment to living a cardiovascular healthy lifestyle and who serve as positive examples for their peers, families, and the broader community. This scholarship reflects her ongoing dedication to investing in the next generation of Lake County leaders. That is a lot of achievements and community involvement, and we're just super proud of you. So I'm going to come down there and give you a certificate on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, recognizing you for your hard work and dedicated service.
Oh, well, thank you. That's actually funny you say that. Well, hi everyone. My name is Noelle Shinaki, and I'm so honored to be here today in a room with so many incredible people that really are affecting our community in such a positive way. As she had said, I have a 501c3 called Hope for Heart Kids that I started. My cousin Tavares was actually diagnosed with hypoplastic left heart when he was born, and at the age of 15 during his heart transplant, he actually ended up losing his life to it. So I founded the 501c3 to continue on his legacy. And I'm just grateful to be able to stand in a room honoring him and being able to continue on his legacy in such a powerful way. And it's so funny that you said public speaking. I literally said this is the one thing I would never do in my life, and I started competing in pageants, and now I absolutely love public speaking. So even you just saying that was kind of like making me chuckle a little bit because it's so funny. But I'm just grateful to be here in a room with people who stand firm in their beliefs. My family has a couple of ministries. Jaywalkers is our worship collective, a women's ministry that we really just share our hearts and affect people in a positive way. So I'm grateful to be here. Thank you so much for the certificate of appreciation. It means so much to me, and yeah, I'm just blessed to be here.
All right, well, that was very cool, yeah. Minutes approval, let's see, Mr. Cooney.
Good morning. I have one set of minutes for your approval this morning.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving along then to our citizen question and comment period. At this portion of the meeting, the public can address items that are on today's agenda, with the exception of any zoning items. Anyone who's joined our meeting through Zoom using their phone may press *9 to virtually raise their hands. If you're participating Zoom online, please click the raise hand button to let us know that you wish to speak. Everyone has 3 minutes to speak, and we just ask when you get to the part where the alarm sounds that you will go ahead and conclude your comments. So first, let's see, we've got Tammy or Tommy? Tommy Newberry.
We came even with a little presentation.
All right.
I'm supposed to have given this. May I give to you now? It's just a folder. It just has some of the information I'm going to be discussing. I even brought a post-it so you can look at it. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Tommy Newberry, and we reside at 35801 County Road 439 in Eustis. We are here regarding the public dedication recorded in Official Records Book 1068, page 1182. This 1990 instrument dedicated a 50-foot strip physically located on our property for roadway purposes. Because the strip is technically public but unmaintained by the county, and we pay the property taxes on that. It has created a dangerous legal loophole that prevents the sheriff from protecting us on our own land. As shown in the aerial views, there's 2 aerial views right there, and the 2022 survey that I'm providing on this, as well as the packet of information I provided. The easement is not a necessity for the neighbor that lives behind us. It is a luxury access to a paved road. That is all. The neighbor's property, outlined in red, has its original historical driveway access via Old Post Office Lane. They are not landlocked. However, this 1990 dedication forces them across our private frontage, which has led to a long documented cycle of criminal harassment. Since we purchased the home in 2022, the neighbor has repeatedly used this strip to block our actual driveway and entrance, block access to our property for any of our deliveries and for visitors. And I have a picture from an episode yesterday where 6 police officers were there from the sheriff's department, 2 of those being supervisors. She does this often for hours and sometimes for days, as she refuses to believe that she doesn't own all of that property herself and that we're all trespassing on her property. Despite the surveys, we have had to call the police out many times, but because of this dedication, law enforcement is told they cannot tow, they cannot arrest for what they view as a civil parking issue on a public road. The neighbor has been shown our officially recorded survey by law enforcement at least 4 times that I can recall, that I witnessed, proving that she does not own this land. We do, but to no avail. This individual has documented Lake County records for multiple battery, multiple impersonating law enforcement, grand theft, and fraud. The county's 36-year-old record is effectively providing a safe haven for a habitual offender to unlawfully detain us in our own home, stalk, and threaten my family. We are formally...
Are you near the end?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And I should have been at 3 minutes, but I may add it a little bit.
Okay, just,
We are formally requesting that the board direct the county attorney to initiate a petition to vacate this dedication under Florida Statute 177.101. This roadway serves no public interest, and vacating it will not leave the neighbor without access to the county road system. We need to return this land to private acreage so we can finally enforce no trespassing and stalking laws for our safety. Thank you.
all right, thank you. And we will have staff connect with you on this. Typically, a vacation petition is initiated by the applicant, the private landowner, those
the court
parties that.
system?
No, it's done here. It
here.
comes before the Board of County Commissioners. It's reviewed by Public Works. Issues like you referred to, access, assuring that someone else is not going to lose their only access, that type of thing, those things come into play with review of the application itself.
Wonderful.
So this would be something you would initially work with Public Works on.
Public Works, then I need to contact them.
Yeah, could we have, is Jeff or somebody here that could talk to Tommy
Jeff
outside?
Earhart will be able to assist you out in the rotunda.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you for that thorough presentation. Adam Edgington?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I wanted to speak about the tree ordinance. Just a couple things I'd like to point out with each.
That's a public hearing, so I'm sorry, I should have let you know before you came up here. Are you okay to stay so that we're going to
Yeah,
open
yeah,
up
yeah.
for a public hearing when we get to that ordinance? And that would be the best time to, okay, thank you, Adam. And then Shane's here for tree protection as well. Cindy Newton, Brent Road? Okay,
It's on the
all right, we're going to wait. Do we need to? Right, that's on the easement. Okay, all right, so we'll get to those when we get to those items. And do we have anyone online? I don't think so. Okay, all right, then we're going to move ahead. We've got a presentation. This is tab 2. We would need a recommendation of approval on this. This is Proclamation 2026-19.
Move to approve.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, all right. If we could have our surveyors come forward, and we're going to do a presentation. I'm just worried I'm not going to be able to read this.
Oh, so sorry. I did not see you.
All right, I'm going to read this proclamation, and it's pretty self-explanatory. This is one of my all-time favorite proclamations each year that we do. See if I can do it without my glasses. All right, Proclamation 2026-19, whereas surveyors and mappers are counted among the founding leaders of our country and were instrumental in the formation of the layout of property boundaries in the United States, which have provided our citizens the enjoyment of property ownership. Whereas George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and other former presidents of the United States served their fellow colonists as surveyors. And whereas the citizens of Florida recognize the valuable contributions of the surveying and mapping profession to history, development, and quality of life in Florida and the United States of America, and make important decisions based on the knowledge and expertise of licensed surveyors and mappers. And whereas the surveying and mapping profession requires special education, training, the knowledge of mathematics, the related physical and applied sciences, and requirements of law for evidence. And whereas surveyors and mappers are uniquely qualified and licensed to determine and describe land and water boundaries for the management of natural resources and the protection of private property rights. And whereas the continued advancements in instrumentation have required the surveyor and mapper not only to be able to understand and implement the methods of the past, but also to learn and employ modern technology in finding solutions to meet the challenges of the future. Now, therefore, in conjunction with the National Surveyors Week, the Board of County Commissioners of Lake County, Florida proclaims that the week of March 15th through 21st, 2026 shall be proclaimed as Florida Surveyors and Mappers Week. And the Board of County Commissioners recognizes the many contributions and the ongoing dedication of surveyors and mappers to the citizens of Florida and the United States, and this proclamation shall be spread upon the minutes of this meeting and shall become effective upon adoption. So thank you so much for all that you all do. So much business and activity and transactions in our county could not occur if it weren't for you and the work that you do out in the field in order to accurately describe boundaries and facilitate transactions and sometimes corrections to help solve boundary disputes, all kinds of things, protect the natural resources. So yeah, we're very, very proud of you guys and appreciative for what you do. Do you? Yeah. Do you have a main representative, or are you the main representative? Okay. All right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, let's get started.
Thank you all. Appreciate your work. Thank you.
All right. Clerk of Courts consent agenda, Mr. Cooney.
Good morning again. I have 3 items on my consent agenda for your approval.
All right, all in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Moving then to consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion for approval. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Whoa, wait.
To pull tab 11.
All right, how do we undo that?
Quicker.
Move to approve consent minus tab 11.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, that passes unanimously. Moving then to tab 11 for discussion.
Waiting on me.
This is,
Good. Second page, I guess we're buying 5 acres in a 1987 mobile home for $550,000. Okay, what, do we need all the property?
I think our Public Works person is outside assisting a resident right now.
Okay, well, and the other thing, I'll move on. The property appraised for $499,850, which is approximately 10% less than the appraised value. I don't understand that when we're paying $550,000 for it.
wait, say that again. You're saying that the assessed value is $499, but the appraised value is $5, is that what you're saying?
The property appraised at $499,850, which is approximately 10% or $50,100 less than the appraised value. That makes no sense.
It should be
I
the,
think this is a case to where we're buying a piece of property in order to get a road through, correct?
correct. The property is being purchased for the widening of 455 or Ray Goodgame to Johns Lake Road. Jeff, the question that Commissioner Morris originally had was, do we need all of the property, the entire 5 acres, excuse me?
A lot of record, if you know.
This is for Jeff Earhart Engineering. We do not need the entire 4 acres. This is to extend 455 down from where it kind of ends at Lost Lake, down to Johns Lake, and then continuing through the CMX property down to the end. That's what we've seen historic, it's really, think about a half acre that we really need to kind of do it. We were looking to purchase the entire property, because when we do only a partial take, it costs almost as much as to do the entire property. And then once we have the entire property, we would have the option to either resell it or potentially use it for some other county purpose as a fire station or recreational area. Across the street, we paid more than this for just a smaller portion of it.
This is what you're paying. And is this federal grant money that we're getting?
This is
DOT.
yeah. This
Okay,
is
so-
this is
so-
state matching funds. It's a 50-50. We pay 50. They.
So our cost is $275,000 for a 1987 mobile home that we don't need 5 acres on.
Correct.
Okay,
And-
thank you.
Yeah, I know, and it does, like, when you put it that way, it sounds kind of
Well, that
silly.
is the way. That is the way.
But you have to.
Eminent domain, are we going to spend $550,000 to do eminent domain?
Yes, you would spend more because you would be doing a partial take, and when you do a partial
And
take,
by
you
the
would.
way, the $550,000 is going to be plus whatever the relocation is.
Yeah,
Almost reminds you
there
of
is
Britt Road.
relocation, which
Well,
could be
I
up
can
to
see
50.
Britt Road all over again.
Yeah, it is up to $50,000 that we may be paying for relocation, but across the street for much less, we paid more than $500,000 for just a strip. Because that was a partial take, and then you start getting into those other eminent domain issues.
You end up paying attorney's fees for the other side, you pay all of these appraisal fees, you really get into a lot of cost. This is a pretty
We have an appraisal on it, so I disagree with that statement.
But, okay, can I just, I want to point out one thing about how eminent domain works. You get multiple appraisals, and what you typically try to do, if you're going to avoid eminent domain because it costs so much more, you typically work with the property owner because you're trying not to force them off of their property because of a public need. You're trying to actually facilitate a transaction that is mutually agreeable and acceptable. So it's kind of in its own sort of realm when you try to finesse these things versus actually going down the road of eminent domain.
This property, the original, the woman that owned it passed away, and her family, her son and daughter, I think, are living in it. So they're a willing seller in order to do that. And part of the, is if we go through this, I believe that we could surplus it and probably regain most of that money that we're putting through. That's my hope, if there's not another beneficial county purpose.
So I see this a little different, Commissioner Morris, is that we have an opportunity to buy entire purchase of land, 10% more. It's a lot better than just buying a 50-foot strip for the same amount. Then we have the property that we can do whatever we want with. We can resell it for, to at least recoup our 275 we have in it, or use it for county purposes, so. Although I know it can be sometimes hard to swallow, but people's land they have the opportunity to do what they want with their land, and he's either going to sell all of it or none of it, so.
Okay. When are we going to do 455?
That's a different item.
How long are we going to hang on to the land to do 455?
The desire for this small stretch is about 2 blocks. The Claremont is pushing, they would really like the connection at least down to Johns Lake. So that's the end, we're planning to that soon, assuming that there's funding. Now, the connection down to Hartwood Marsh will take longer because that's going to require, CMEX is actually looking at selling that large property to a developer, and that developer will probably come in and construct the rest of the road from there down to connect to Hartwood Marsh. So Commissioner Parks might have a better answer. My guess would be 3 to 5 years we'd be building that, if not sooner. Claremont would probably like me to build it in next year, probably. And it's only about 2 blocks that we want to.
Yeah, there's already people that drive through that. They think, I guess on maps, on maps, people were driving through the little, what appeared to be some kind of access road.
Yeah, it's currently dirt, and people can use that. We have blocked it off a little bit because
Yeah.
people are coming from Waterbrook down south, and it's
Thank you.
Yeah.
Got all my questions answered. Thanks.
I do like the fact that Jeff brought up that once the property is purchased and then the actual amount needed for the road is utilized, or it's determined what is needed, that you can surplus it, you could sell it, you could use it for a public purpose. So there are options there that you could actually recoup a portion of what you're paying for it.
Move to approve tab 11.
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
I do
opposed?
want to note for the record, I do appreciate Commissioner Morris bringing stuff like this to the attention, having the conversation, fleshing it out, asking hard questions. I do appreciate you doing it.
Well, I just think a lot of times we are taken advantage of when it comes to these type, and I know there are property rights, and they can hold on to it as long as they want to. I'm a no vote.
Okay, so I called for the vote, and I believe there were 4 yeses and then
One against.
1 against, so 4-1. All right, that passes. That was consent. Moving along then to tab 15. And this is the discussion and direction regarding an application received under policy LCC 69, naming county facilities and placement of memorials, to name the soccer fields at Hickory Point Recreation Complex as the Mike Stone Soccer Complex.
Did you want to do those two first?
We didn't do any 12, 13, or 14.
Wait a minute. Oh, I jumped over to 15, sorry. Yeah, let's get back to public hearings. Thank you, appreciate that. I was trying to get ahead of ourselves here. All right, public hearings, this is on the Affordable Housing Assistance Trust Fund and Live Local requirements. Melanie?
So this will be an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Lake County, Florida, amending Section 11-33 Lake County Code entitled Lake County Affordable Housing Assistance Trust Fund, updating eligible uses of funds for consistency with state law, amending Section 11-40 Lake County Code entitled Affordable Housing Covenants and Guarantees, providing for regulations addressing the impacts of Section 125.01055 Florida statutes, known as the Live Local Act, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for filing with Department of State, and providing for an effective date. If you choose to approve this today, it'll become ordinance 2026-10.
Okay, this is a public hearing. I'll open the floor. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this item? Anyone online? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board. Does anybody need an explanation? I think everybody understands that there are certain requirements by state law that we have to comply with under the Live Local Act. All right,
Move to approve.
Second.
all right, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously in accordance with what we are required to do under Florida law. Tab 13, Melanie.
This will be an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Lake County, Florida, amending Section 9.02.00 Lake County Code Land Development Regulations entitled Tree Protection, clarifying tree removal requirements associated with the development project, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for filing with Department of State, and providing for an effective date. If you choose to approve this today, it'll become ordinance 2026-11.
Okay, all right, this is a public hearing. I've got 2 speaker cards. I'm going to start with speaker cards. Adam, you're up again.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Okay, just a couple of things on the tree ordinance. One thing I wanted to point out, right here on the agenda, it says there's no fiscal impact. To the county individually, perhaps not. To the individual citizens, I think there is. Every one of these additional regulations and ordinances that we're putting forward is creating additional bureaucracy in our local government. Some of the ordinance, some part of this ordinance, in fact, recreates additional work for county staff, which I don't quite understand. But with each additional burden that we continue to put on these properties, the cost of, and I, for the record, like the trees, prefer trees, but nonetheless, the simple basic tenet of a free market economy or a capitalist system says that the more regulations that we introduce, there's more burdens to be carried by the people we're introducing them upon. And certainly, the more regulations that we continue to put on these things, there may not be a fiscal impact to the people I'm sitting in front or standing in front of, but certainly it does create additional burden. And some of this ordinance, in my opinion, creates additional burden on county, and it creates additional burden on our citizens. And I think it's worth noting that when you say there's no fiscal impact, it's absolutely, in my opinion, inaccurate. There is a fiscal impact. You can't add burden to business, individuals, landowners. Landowners now, in my opinion, are the worst hit. Doesn't matter if they're big, small, or not. They effectively lose land value. And I would be surprised if the county does not hear from large landowners, whether they're selling or not selling. If they're just own large acreage, their value of their land will go down, and I would expect that the tax collector and the property appraiser will see an increase in cases of people coming forward saying, hey, listen, this land, you say it's worth X, I think it should be reduced, and here's why. It doesn't have the same ability to be appraised at the same amount. So when I see additional burdens coming forward, I feel like it has to be pointed out that there is, in fact, a fiscal impact to it, to the citizens, to the landowners, perhaps not to you guys per se, but certainly for the people who own the land, for the people who want to purchase the land, more importantly, the people who want to sell their land, whether it's to anybody. So I do think that the tax collector and the tax appraiser will see additional arguments on values, because this reduces property value to our citizens, and it increases individual and additional taxes or burdens on our citizens.
Can I just ask you a question, because I'm a little confused? So you're saying that by keeping large trees on property, you actually reduce the value of property, or is it because it stands in the way of where somebody might want to put a road or lots or?
Could be any of those items, but I mean, I would find it a hard argument to make that additional government regulation and burdensome creates value. I think throughout the history of our society, as a democracy, we know that adding burden does not boom the economy. So yes, whether it is for moving roads, redesigning developments, really anything that individual lot owners, I brought a photo, which I should have prepared earlier, but it's 500 feet from my house in a neighborhood, and it's got 2 salvaged oak trees that now this person, the best I can read the ordinance, and I'm no attorney, these 2 lot owners, they're 500 and 700 feet from me, so really easy example for me to see. They were salvaged from the original developer. They're in a bowl. They're definitely going to die. There's no way to put a house on it. So yes, now costing burden to pay, it's a tax now on that individual to remove it, both through burden and actual physical fees to get it removed permit-wise. And I just wonder to myself, expanding government and saying there's no fiscal impact, in my opinion, doesn't jive. It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate your opinion. I just, it's just kind of, usually those trees die because the developers will actually put them in the bowl and raise the land, and then they'll create a or they'll cut the root system, or, there's reasons why the trees typically don't thrive. Hopefully, that won't be the case. But the way I read these changes, we already had our ordinance in place. These trees were already supposed to be protected, and there was confusion over at what point somebody that was developing was supposed to actually adhere to the ordinance. So we are just clarifying in this ordinance change because the law already existed. But my hope is that developers would be more conscientious and actually think in terms of, okay, I've got these big trees. These trees enhance my property. I want these trees to thrive, and therefore I'm going to design in such a way that these trees actually enhance, the value of the property.
Well,
but I
can get you the keys, the 2 that were saved in my neighborhood, which was developed as a PUD, I believe, in 1995, were salvaged, and Osprey Point, where I live, has a bunch of big oak trees that were brought in, and I consider it one of the nicest neighborhoods around because of the mature oak trees. It's a beautiful neighborhood, but these 2 particular trees were salvaged by the developer, and they weren't put into a bowl. Would be my guess. They weren't put into a bowl. They were left to gain a credit or particularly save something, and they just passed the buck to the end buyer, who now's got this burden of not only the tree removal, but additional county regulations to get it removed. And then if that would be the case, and I know this is called a cleanup, but I did email multiple people to ask how many people retroactively are going to be affected by stuff that has to go back through re-review. I did not get a response. I'll just leave it at that.
I looked at it a different way. I looked at it that this really isn't for the single resident. It might affect a few, but I think we get a plot of a plan when they come in, and it shows all these roads, but we don't get to see the trees on it, and we just look at it and we vote on it that way. I think this is going to have the developers concentrate more on how to save these heritage-type trees. And yes, it's going to cost them more money, but I would rather see that than to have it just mowed down and,
Agreed.
and have little trees planted hoping they're going to grow in 20 years.
So,
I just think it tightened it up because a lot of this stuff was already there, Adam.
I don't disagree, but to suggest that, like, as you just said, that means that there's going to be additional regulations. You're going to have to move this, adjust that, re-engineer. No?
Well, arguably, you already had to. It's
Well,
just
then
that
why
there
would-
was
why would Section C-
confusion over how this was
Well,
applied.
Section C seems to be a retroactive punitive deal, which could cycle in the county to have to re-review, and our staff at P&Z is still hiring, and I would wonder then if Section C is put in, which retroactively, that's page 6, Section C, that says that if it wasn't completed, then the county's staff would have to go back and re-review. What is the purpose of that if there's no, and I mean, I agree with Commissioner Morris and yourself that, so I would wonder, what is the purpose of C that requires that if it was brought up to a point and then completed, why are we sending the staff back to redo the work if they followed the rules originally and they followed the rules today? So I would just wonder what that ordinance was about, how many developments that takes. Is that an additional burden on already strapped staff? It seems like it is, but I don't know. I didn't actually get a response to the email that I asked.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chair. I just wanted to see if we could put up the code because we briefly talked about this page 6, section C that you're referring to. Can we go to that?
Sure, he's pulling that. So what section, you went past it?
You passed it.
Aaron, go back.
Right
Right there.
So what this says is that for any development that has an approved zoning ordinance but has not yet submitted a site plan, preliminary plat, or master park plan as of March 1st, the developer shall be required to design around heritage trees or obtain a variance. So if they're already in the development review process, the staff isn't going to make them go back and redesign anything, although they should have already designed around heritage trees, because the current code clearly says, removal of a heritage tree shall be prohibited unless
So
it
then-
poses a danger to persons or property.
So that section should be wiped entirely if it was followed originally by the county. It's just additional language unneeded.
That's an additional protection for people that have submitted applications, Mr. Edgington. I mean, if the board wants to take it out, we
mean,
can, but it's an additional protection for people who are already in the process.
Well, certainly, additional rules and regulations and burdens on our citizens just doesn't seem arbitrarily like a thing to do. Would just find a solution or get a solution put together to find a problem. I just don't understand it. I was looking.
I think we had a problem, though. We actually had people that were literally, they were using their conceptual site plans, and they were using this conceptual site plan to say, oh, well, see, I'm allowed to take all of these out because this conceptual plan that was, attached to a zoning ordinance, it wouldn't have been approved this way if you didn't want me to be able to take all these trees out. Yet, we had an ordinance that said, you have to keep those heritage trees. So it was because people were trying to circumvent the rules that we need to address this as a clarification, really.
Okay, because I didn't understand if it was not really, if everybody was following the rules in the beginning and everybody was creating the site plans or the,
Well, a concept
plan
plan
on
is just like it was said earlier. It's a piece of paper, and they plop it down. It's not a tree survey. So they were using those to say, oh, well, look, I can just take everything out.
and
Because
that wasn't clear in the previous ordinance?
Are you saying that your concept plan that y'all
No, I don't
y'all
have a
give
concept plan,
to
and
the
I don't have
county
much
is
knowledge
the
of
engineered plans for the development?
No, sir.
Okay, so then you can't say that the concept plan,
Absolutely not.
you're able to take out the heritage trees. So that's all we're saying is the concept plan, they're using the concept plan as a get around. This is just clarifying that you can't do that.
Okay, because I did ask, and I wondered how much additional burden that created on the staff. How many additional developments has to go back through E and Z?
I think I can answer that. So, when we talked about this, you asked, did I bring this forward? And I joked, I said, no, surprisingly, I didn't bring this one forward. The staff brought it forward because they want to be clear in how they're enforcing what's already in place. So this is like them asking us for more clarity, right? And so there's no,
That's correct.
Yeah.
And what creates an additional burden on staff is constant arguments with developers and developers' attorneys over interpretation of the code. So rather than continue to argue with developers' attorneys, which is where this came from, we are cleaning up language from a 2012 code so that we don't have to argue with developers and developer attorneys any longer on the fact that heritage trees are protected trees.
See, that's a very nice explanation. When I emailed, I just didn't receive a response.
I did respond to you, Mr. Edgington, and I also responded to the HBA, which you were copied on. And I believe Ms. Dial has also spoken to you about this as well.
I did not receive a response from you from my question of how many developments had even affected or potential submissions that had been redone. I did ask that question. You did not respond. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Gerwig. All right, thank you. And just for our own edification, if somebody could, and of course to let Mr. Edgington know too, if somebody will take a look to see what, I mean, if you're in the pipeline, you still have to comply. I mean, I'm a little confused on what the ask was. The ask was how many are,
It appears that Mr. Edgington wanted us to go back and calculate how many projects were in the pipeline that may have heritage trees on their property where somebody may or may not have to redesign something. I don't believe the staff was going to spend the time undertaking that exercise, because the point of the matter is, if they're already in the development review process, if staff missed that comment, we're not going back and making them redesign. So
okay,
it
so
seemed
that, I
like
think that's the key here. You're not going to go back and make them redesign if it was missed initially. From this point forward, per this language, if it's being reviewed right now, then that would have to be.
correct. If they are in that development review process and the staff did not make that comment to them, we're not going to go back and make them redesign or redo a preliminary plat or a site plan. I will also remind the board that since October of '25, we have been including a specific provision in every PUD ordinance or conditional ordinance that comes to you, telling people they have to design around heritage trees. So that's not going to be new. That was all pending this ordinance coming through to the board.
Okay, all right. So I think at the end of the day, when it comes to doing business, and certainty is key, and having clear language is important. And so that's what we're trying to do here, is make it clear so that we don't end up in disagreements over what the ordinance actually says and is intended to do. I mean, we're just trying to make it clear so everybody understands what the rules are. So okay, do we have anyone online? We do not. Bringing it back to the board for a motion.
I have one request, and it's such a small request, I even hate to bring it up, but it's one of these picky things that I do. It's under the protected trees. Section 90202, number 2. I would just like to see that all of our measurements be consistent to 54 inches from the ground. The one I'm talking about here, the sand pine at 2 inches, is that measured at breast height. Breast height is ambiguous. It depends on how tall the person is. I would just like to see a straight measurement of 54 inches.
Yeah,
That's it.
DBH should have 48, but.
All right, so that's, if you make the
Define
motion.
DBH, right?
What's that?
You want to define DBH.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this ordinance with the changes that all the measurements be consistent with the heritage tree measurements at the height level.
Can you move that up on the screen so we can
Erin,
actually
can you
look
go
at
back
that
a page? I
language?
think it's,
Page 2,
Page 2.
one more,
All right,
number 2.
number
Okay.
2.
Fine.
so,
No, that's section 2. Protected trees, 9-02-02, section A2.
He's saying at breast
the
height.
sand sign, the
At
sand
breast height.
pine.
So that should be DBH, and then DBH. That should be DBH, and then you want DBH to be defined throughout the code, so it's the same exact height.
Right. That's all I'm saying, is it needs to be a consistent height. And we just use the heritage trees and change nothing else.
Is the heritage tree at
54
54 inches that you measure? And, I mean, I'm assuming that that would make sense for these as well. I'm just trying to picture 54 inches.
Usually DBH would be like 48, but 54 is, you would just say, for purposes of this code, DBH shall be defined as 54 inches.
Okay. I'm looking at the tree people back there. Yeah, but
But that's
it's,
fine.
Well,
who's,
let me put it this way. Somebody 5 foot 2 inches tall measures, and somebody 6'7" measures.
no, we
Measurement's
get that
different.
part of it. I just want to make sure that because of the type of tree, there isn't a reason why it's different. Should it be 48 or should it be 54? asking for
I
an
did
expert.
not realize this is going to make this conversation this
No, hey,
long.
you know what, that's actually good, because that could be something down the road that causes a problem, so it's actually good.
It's true.
Yeah.
Who's got a tape measure?
For the record, Mike Fitzgerald, I'm the Office of Planning and Zoning Director. Restate the question, please.
So the only change I would like to see in this ordinance is under the protected trees, to where it says sand pines be measured and scrub oaks be measured at breast height. I would like to say it's consistent with the heritage tree height of 54 inches.
Right, and that would be consistent with section 9.02.12, heritage trees, B1, where the size is measured at 54 inches from the surface of the ground.
Correct.
And you're good with that?
Do you want, okay, do you want, but it doesn't, to Commissioner Smith's point, it doesn't say what height that you're making that measurement at. Breast height is not, if you're saying it's in another part of the code, is it defined?
Diameter breast height?
Yeah, with an actual.
I did not see breast height defined
I
in the
don't think
code.
that's defined.
Yeah, so that, I think to his point,
That's
that's
the
actually
problem.
a good thing, that, what is DBH and what exact measurement is it?
We can remove DBH, and we can just say 54 inches from the ground, and then if you're at a certain measurement.
As long as it's consistent throughout the code.
Right.
Yeah, just, I think that reference to breast height needs to be removed and reference 54 inches from the ground.
And since that's part of the motion, what we can do is go through and we'll make sure all the measurements are using the same standard.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So that's part of the motion. That's your motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 4-0. Thank you, Mike. All right. 14 is pulled. We're moving then to the regular agenda, and now we are at tab 15, the naming of county facilities.
Morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Bobby Bonilla, Assistant County Manager. The item before you is a request from the applicant Kathy Stone regarding the application Lake County Policy LCC 69, naming county facilities and placement of memorials. A little bit of background history. Lake County Water Authority currently owns the property at the Hickory Point. Back in 2016, they had set aside a portion of the soccer fields as in memory of Mr. Stone. In June of 2024, the Lake County Water Authority Board voted to rename the facility the Hickory Point Recreational Complex. We're currently working in conjunction with the Visit Lake staff in terms of the footprint and the amenities as Hickory Point continues to evolve and the changes that are taking place. Staff is seeking direction on the preference of the board in terms of what kind of memorial or designation for the facility.
So I just want to jump in as somebody who knew Mike and just make sure the record, and everybody that maybe didn't know Mike and didn't know how instrumental he was in actually making those fields happen, as well as other recreational venues in Lake County. But this was something near and dear to his heart, and way back, way back, he began sort of this mission of having those soccer fields there. And so when he passed, I remember the discussion that the board wanted to honor him. And although the soccer fields at the time, they were owned by the Water Authority, the county managed and oversaw them, I thought. I just remember that we had a discussion about it, and it was decided to put a sign out there in memory of Mike Stone. So I was a little surprised that the Water Authority had actually decided, no, we don't want to honor Mike Stone anymore with the signage. And so, I mean, my preference is to find a way to continue to honor him at that location in a very visible way.
I think the Water Authority Board and I believe the County Commission also intends to honor Mike Stone's legacy. Again, the park is evolving. There's a lot of amenities and changes to the facility that would change the footprint. It's more than soccer complex. It's multi-purpose field. It's used in many ways, including folks who are training in the track area. The Olympians are actually training at Hickory Point, so it's changing based on the needs of today.
And I appreciate the chair's comments. Yeah, I'm not sure why this is on the agenda today, and I don't mean to be negative, but I think it could have been resolved before, because I totally agree with the chair's comments. Mike was amazing. So his widow, who was supposed to be here today, she's a teacher, she could not come in. But then, so she finds out she's got to fill out an application for naming. The intent has never been to make it totally clear to rename what was done on June 12th. The Hickory Point Park name was changed officially to Hickory Point Recreation Complex. There was no discussion in there about name changing for Mike or anything like that on that day. So I'm not sure that they were even clear about, they meaning the Water Authority was even clear about what would be the consequence of those fields going away, being named for Mike and that name going away. I think, speaking for Kathy Stone, the widow, sort of goes to what the chair said. I think if we're just able to make it clear, I know there's planning that's going on with the site, and the soccer fields are going to be renamed, or the soccer fields are going to be all-purpose fields. But I think if what we're able to do is make it clear from this board, there's not a name that's out front, and that's never been a request. So that's why I don't think this was even necessary today, to try to name the whole complex. I think it's just, can we give her the fields? It's not unlike it's a little bit of a stretch, but like Bobby Bowden Field at Doe Campbell Stadium, that's a big leap, although funny thing is he was a big FSU fan. But I think it's just the fields and having it memorialized and giving her something that she sees, even though the fields are going to be moved and there's going to be some reconstruction going on, but that being memorialized and it being made clear. And even in the time being, if there's something, like, I don't know when the whole project's going to be finished, but if there's something to do in the time being for that as well.
So, Commissioner Parks, I'm on the Parks and Recreation Board, and there is definitely been discussion and absolute agreement that Mike Stone will be honored somewhere. We just don't know where yet, because the master plan is not fully developed yet. But once that's done, he'll certainly have a place in the fields.
Yeah, okay, well, that's good to hear, and I think we can make that clear to her, and maybe staff can continue to work. I mean, I know it's a little harder because she's teaching and doing other things now, but I think if you could give her some kind of an assurance.
I know, just maybe a nice letter from us, a nice letter.
Explaining what we're doing
explaining
and
what
drawing,
we're doing.
yeah, maybe a drawing of what's going to happen, some detailed explanation of what's going to happen. I think that would take care of that and would honor him. And
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that it came across to her as like, we're asking her, please apply so that, we can consider whether we're going to name these fields after your husband, when what happened was, after he passed, it was initiated here at the dais, let's do something to honor Mike Stone. So we started that process back then. So I just would love for us to be able to smooth over the fact that she was made to feel that she was asking for something that had already been basically agreed to. And, and I think if the idea of maybe focusing just on the fields, and so once the fields, you determine where the fields are going to be, there could be a sign, you name, the Mike Stone soccer fields.
We took care, too, at the college, Carlisle Rogers Stadium with Mike Matulia Fields.
yeah,
There you go.
There's always a way to do it.
yeah.
It's just, I think we need to let her know that.
We're going to take care of
We're
it
gonna take care of
in
it.
conjunction with the Water Authority, or however we need to do it. I think once the deed passes, then we would be in the position to actually be making that decision.
Right.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's just, and you're right, that's the way to handle it, I think. And it would begin because it was already done and
Yeah.
not really new. Yeah, thank you.
And just one more time, he was great, a
Yeah.
great person, a great leader, great collaborator. He was out there trying to bring multiple people together to, when those fields were just initiated, to make it happen. I'm glad to hear that everybody wants to find a way to make sure that honoring him continues on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, tab 16, this is a appointment
Yeah, that's.
to the library board, Commissioner
Yeah,
Morris.
I recommend that we approve these applicants, all four.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That passes 5-0. This is tab 17, this is Parks, Recreation, and Trails Advisory Committee. This is Commissioner
That's,
Smith?
well, really, it's coming from my district.
Well, it's, I'm the liaison here, and this is for, that District 4, but there's,
District 5.
District 5, I'm sorry, but there is no applicant for District 5, and I think Amanda Wetstein would be a perfect fit for the Parks and Trails.
And Commissioner.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, real quick, so the appointments, I'm always going to defer to anybody on their own district. It's your district, period. So this is his district, correct? This is Commissioner Morris's district.
His
Correct.
district.
Okay, because I just, over the course of time, always heard like, well, I'm the liaison to this, I'm the liaison to that, but I'm an adamant believer that whoever lives in that, whoever has that district, they should get their person. So I always defer to that. Despite my opinions of who I think is best qualified for that board, I will always defer to my colleagues if that's the district that they represent, even if it's from somebody outside the district, because of course you said in good faith you couldn't find somebody in the district, that's fine. So I'll be supporting it.
All right, so would you like to make the motion since it's your district?
I make a motion to approve Amanda Wetstein.
Second.
All right, we have a first, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That passes 5-0. Moving then to 18. This is with regard to the topic that came up at the last meeting and the rural boundary amendment. Commissioner?
Yes,
you wanna take the lead?
yes, ma'am. I think I think it could be constructive to write a resolution for us.
It's attached.
Okay, it is, yeah, right, so the attached resolution expressing opposition to the rural boundary amendment. This was brought up last week, obviously. I listened in on the Florida Association of Counties meeting again on Friday, and they said, hey, it hasn't gone away yet. It's still got life to it, that, if you board wants to express opposition, now would be the time to do it. That that amendment basically prohibiting us, even though we are in our comprehensive plan process where we were more than likely probably going to establish some kind of a rule line with no annexation on one side or rural areas on one side at the very least, and more of the development on the other side. Establishing that line, they're going to prohibit that statewide. So it's a big preemption thing.
All right, so even if we had a JPA or interlocal agreement with a city, it still wouldn't?
No, it
This
still
would
wouldn't.
just completely wipe that out?
Wipes it all out, yeah.
All right, so I'm 100% in favor of the resolution, and I think that we also need to make sure that somebody is completely on top of monitoring what's going on with this and making, not that, I mean, even if somebody tried to slide it in to something else, that we would at least be able to point out to our legislators, hey, you really need to take a look at this because it looks like something got added to another bill. Because often we hear that, oh, I didn't even know that got put into that bill. So,
I was going to bring this up. This specifically calls out Senate Bill 208.
Yes.
I don't think 208 is moving forward. What we're really concerned about is the amendment and the wording of it. So could we change the actual bill number to any amendment that reflects this wording?
So it, excuse me, it does say that. It says Senate Bill 208 or any substantially similar proposal.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and to your point, I think, our lobbyists should definitely provide us, Chris can provide us every couple days, to provide you.
Should.
An update on this now, especially now that we've done a resolution's a pretty big deal for us, and I will say personally, I've been pretty patient with trying to work with legislator on some of the home rule stuff, and at this point, I keep seeing a lot of this preemption stuff coming in. And
That's what we call you, Patient Parks. That's your nickname.
I mean, I've been, and maybe too patient, but I think
Way too patient, Parks.
the attack, well, on some things, but sometimes patience works, so I will say that. But on some things, I think, I'm making this as a general statement, I do think the preemption stuff is it's just becoming endless now, and there's no, so resolution's pretty serious. I would hope that our lobbyist would, could update us.
How about, yeah,
Make a
let's-
motion to approve.
All right,
And second.
second. All right, and then in discussion, just, I think the request is that our lobby, in fact, update us.
Yeah.
Update us, and then again, I'm not trying to draw this out. I think today's gonna be a quick meeting, but I will say for the next, not the next agenda, but the next workshop where we discuss these things more intentionally, that we definitely need to make sure we emphasize to whatever lobbyists we use, that we expect them to go 100% for the few things that we do ask them to when it comes to policy. Not a
Right.
scattershot, hey, send a note on these 12 bills. Like, literally, we will do anything it takes. Like, we need a hardcore lobbyist.
I mean, I agree, because I think it's important to have the lobbyist that finesses your own agenda through, right? That's working on your legislative priorities. But then you need a lobbyist that's your bulldog, that's your advocate, that's going to really go to bat. And it's hard for that first one to be that person, because they're, they work off of building relationships, not arguing that something's a bad idea, so we really need to look at this process.
Another way to explain it is whoever it's what you're saying, but I'll just be more direct about it. They're going to burn relationships. They're going to fight so hard for a certain appropriation or a certain policy that you want. So you need to get it like an independent lobbyist who's just going to go to war. Now, of course, I made a motion for that on the property appraisers budget thing. I think that our lobbyist group has to work with our legislative delegation. I think there's an interior conversation that it would have been a better job to have the outside guy. That's fine. It's a learning moment. We'll move forward. We'll figure it out. But when this stuff happens, like where it's not like, well, it's tinkering with home rule. It's literally just erasing it. It's gone.
Destroying it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's like a scale, right? Like home rule stuff was always declining since the 90s, but like now it's like an acceleration almost to the point where literally in the next 10 years, I could say being that we are where we were before 1968. Where if you didn't have the modern Florida Constitution, every single bill that had any local effect had to go through Tallahassee. Literally, that was the whole state, no matter what. You could just try to build a road, had to go through Tallahassee. So that's a problem. We don't want that. It's not an accident that's happening. It's because money and power is concentrating so heavily in lobbyist efforts in Tallahassee, and it's so much easier to affect something in Miami through Tallahassee than it is in Miami. So that's why it's happening. Hopefully we can fight it. But sorry, I didn't mean to draw it out so much.
All right, so that was under our discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 5-0. All right, fire rescue, David Kilbury, Public Safety Director, is going to give us an update on wildfire threat.
Good morning, Commissioners. David Kilbury, Public Safety Director. So we have had a increase in the KBDI, which is normal for this time of year. I'll start out with the first overhead slide of this past week. We had 15 incidents. 5 of those 15 were related to escape fires from what would be termed legal burning. And then there's some that are certainly unknown. We had somebody use fireworks. We had a vehicle fire and a vehicle crash. So not outside the norm. Most of those are small in size. I believe the largest was actually 6 acres in size. So I'm going to go through our typical presentation here. This is the Florida Fire Danger Index throughout the state, and we're in a moderate. And so you can see pretty much everything south of the I-4 corridor is extremely dry. The next slide is going to be the average by county as of yesterday.
We're
Moderate. we're in moderate, but that was the fire risk danger. Now we're going to talk about KBDIs on the drought index. Currently, we're at 491, so we are really close to our ordinance to enact a burn ban. So Florida's fire danger, and they take in fuels, weather, wind, and things like that. So we are in a index there that is moderate in size to low that I just showed. So on the KBDI, you can see we are in the average area of under 500, but we are close to approach that. I know we do have some rain forecasted for this week, so it will be curious if it is enough to prevent us from going into the burn ban. And this is the overall heat map of the fire danger through the drought index for the state of Florida. So you can see we are slowly moving from a green-yellow to more toward red throughout the state. And then the last one is actually the KBDIs. I highlighted in yellow the Lake County corridor. And you'll see that we went up 4 points from last week. And then the column in the center, the mid-max, you can see our lowest drought index is 400. But we do have areas in the county that are approaching 600, which is an extreme fire condition. And then over to the right of the column, if you'll notice, when we first started this, we had about 26% in the high index of fire danger of the drought index. That has moved now. We are close to a 60-40 split. So again, we are getting close in that time of wildfire where we're going to ask the public to, or ask the board for our ordinance to enact the burn ban just to prevent that burning until we get below that. So in the pink at the bottom, that's Marion County. You can see they've had a little bit of a...
Lift it up a little bit so we can't see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sure. That would make it far easier. So Marion to our north is actually done a little bit better than we are. Last week they were higher than us, so that means that they've had some rainfall to bring their KBDI. And then down, and then the next one is all of our bordering counties, just so you can get a look at it. Orange County is around 452. They were actually below 400 a couple of weeks ago. So everything's slowly throttling up. We are almost a carbon copy of Sumter County right now. They're at 491 as well. So this weekend's weather forecast will really be determinant within a few numbers of whether the burn ban takes effect through the county manager out keeping a notation on that daily report to her. So we're getting close to enacting the burn ban.
All right, so if we hit that number, then it'll automatically, you guys will get the word out. But the ordinance that we talked about that's similar to the Osceola one, is that going to come back on our next meeting? Is that the plan?
That's to give you the ability.
That's
It is through the
look,
process right now of advertising and that.
okay. All right, so then that would, like in a situation like this where we're, what did you say, we're 491?
Yes, ma'am.
And considering how the percentage that's actually way over 500 right now, that this might be one of those times where you already said, all right, everybody quit burning, because this isn't, but that would be your call as the experts. So if we were able to adopt that ordinance. But this is helpful. I mean, I think that it really helps us to see what's actually going on and how, many resources are actually being deployed right now and how often it has to do with somebody that's actually burning in their backyard, that these things take off.
And I'll tell you, we do get a lot of phone calls into the fourth floor fire rescue asking if we're in a burn ban. So we've got some really conscious residents that are concerned about the fire dangers and ask.
That's what I've noticed is that people, it's an inconvenience when you do, rely on burning and you live on rural property and that's how you get rid of a lot of your stuff that you need to get rid of debris wise. Yeah, everybody's really concerned. They don't want, and they're concerned rightfully so because they don't want what somebody else is doing to end up causing them to lose their home and, their property and.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
I'll be back next week and we'll see where we're at next week. Thank you,
All right,
Commissioner.
thank you. All right, this is tab 20. Melanie? Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, wait, I skipped over the annexation report. If we want to bring Mike up here first before we move to that easement.
Thank you, Chairman. For the record, Mike Fitzgerald, I'm the Office of Planning and Zoning Director. I have 3 annexation reports to present today. All 3 of these are for the city of Leesburg. This is not working.
Aaron, can you advance the screen, please?
The first one is an annexation by the city of Leesburg. All 3 of these annexations will be heard by their city commission on at their March 23rd meeting. The first one is an annexation of 9.26 acres. This is located north of Dewey Robbins Road, east of US Highway 27. Currently, county zoning is agriculture. Proposed city zoning is small planned unit development. Currently, county FLU is rural. Proposed city FLU is estate residential. By comparison, the county density is 1 dwelling unit per 5 net acres. The proposed city density is 2.6 dwelling units per 1 acre. The intent is to develop the property with residential uses. Lake County Office of Solid Waste has stated that the properties will remain within the Lake County Residential Solid Waste Program through September 30th, 2026, and that is because they've paid for the service through that time period. Lake County Public Works has made comments that turn lanes are required at Dewey Robbins Road, additional right-of-way will be required at Dewey Robbins Road, and a traffic impact study will be required when developing the PUD. If we can just advance to the next couple of slides, we'll show the aerial of the property. And then I believe the next slide has, this is the future land use and zoning currently in Lake County. Next slide. This illustrates where the property is located within the Leesburg development. This is a snapshot of Leesburg's story map for their website. And right in the middle of the screen, sort of just south of where it says Turkey Lake, that's where this property is located. So this will be an infill to the development that is going on in the city of Leesburg.
It's not really an infill, though, because it's not connecting, right? It's going to create another enclave.
It does, you are correct, sir. It is connecting to the city boundary. It is creating an enclave to the property just to the east. I did inquire with the Planning and Zoning Director at Leesburg. Pursuant to the ISBA, they can create an enclave if they agree to supply city services to it, and they have confirmed with me that city water and sewer service is available to that enclave.
Yeah.
Okay, we can move on if there are no questions.
Well, I mean, I think that what's that?
You don't want to create an enclave.
Well, I mean, I get it that the ISBA may say that. I mean, I think it's still worth raising the issue, but I'm mainly concerned with, I mean, we were not in favor of all of these other things. So I think we should express concern over 1 unit to 5 acres going to 2.6 to the acre. I mean, that's.
If we could just back up one screen and keep going until it comes to, keep going right there. I believe their municipality estate residential allows up to 4 dwelling units per 1 gross acre, so they are actually under what the city maximum would allow.
But that, I mean, estate residential is 4 dwelling units to the acre? That's what their land use is? I mean, that doesn't sound like estate residential. That sounds like pretty high density.
That's our urban.
That's our urban designation, our urban density. Is there a consensus to express opposition?
Well, I'm going to write a letter to them and ask them if they would at least go with our 1-to-1 density.
Well, I mean, shouldn't we be talking about that?
It's kind of hard to, I think I'm going to ask for the 1-to-1 density.
But, okay, so you're going to write a letter. Can I write a letter that says 1 to 5? I mean, how are we going to handle that? I mean.
You want to put
Well, we have to be consistent in our message.
Yeah.
And some places we blow out our transitional zone that just happened, and other places we're wanting to absolutely have it stick. I'm thinking a one-to-one's good. It's a transitional zone designation. I think everybody can swallow that. And it's consistent with what I've been doing this entire time, is trying to protect our transitional zones.
And I like to look at the facts of a situation. And I
I
like to look at what's going on the actual property. And so, I don't know, this whole like blow out the transitional zone when you've got somebody who they had rights on their property for 30 years, and then you start taking them away over time, and they come in and they want to do a master plan on property that they previously had rights that have been taken away. I think you look at those situations differently. I'm just saying, because I know you want to keep using the phrase blow out the transition, and I want to actually look at what somebody had that was already being taken away by the government.
That is absolutely your priority.
But as far as sending a consistent message, I mean, I think we just need to know, is the majority of the board wanting to say, acknowledge our 1 to 5 rural land use, and we're opposed to it? Or is the majority of the board wanting to say,
I would
1 to
just like
1?
to give them something that they would actually consider. They would not consider a 1 to 5 and they just throw it out. I'm thinking a 1 to 1's better, because they may consider that 1 to 1. They will not consider a 1 to 5.
has anybody given you
I
indication
mean, that's only
that
2 homes on this whole property, so.
Yeah, it's an
I'm just
estate.
saying.
It's an estate-type scenario. So-
Absolutely,
Or
it's a
do we-
mistake, but
Estate is what I was saying, it would be an estate.
it'd be an estate-type scenario with 1-acre dwellings. But the city of Leesburg has all the right in the world to annex it in. We just need to try our best to do what we can with the property, and hopefully they can see that we are trying to keep our somewhat of a rural density in the area. I know that Dewey Robbins Road has just absolutely been hit hard. It was an old orange grove dirt road when I was a kid, and we used to dove hunt. I mean, we used to ride around over there. So what's happened to Dewey Robbins Road is, in my opinion, terrible, but there's nothing we can do about it. We can only just go with what the best possible plan forward. And if you go to the city of Leesburg saying 1 to 5 and that's it, they're going to turn it down.
So
Be done with. But if you give them something that they can actually look at and say, okay, maybe we can do a 1 to 1.
So why not couch it this way? Our preference would be that it would be 1 to 5. We understand that the city might find this unrealistic, and therefore, we could support 1 to 1 if the city would consider a compromise.
I am absolutely okay with that.
And can I add that another way to look at it is how much of an enclave is this going to create? Because this, I will note,
It's a 1-lot enclave, right?
It's
yeah, because
one-
I'll
it's
note
one
that
s-
that's
Yeah,
a
it's one single parcel that is to the east. If this is 2, I'm going to guesstimate here, this is 2 alternate keys at 9.26 acres. The one that's left over is about 5 acres in size, a 5-acre enclave.
Yeah, I mean, because, this is the problem with the ISBA, and, I will note that what I would say is get rid of ISBA and do joint planning agreements where you wouldn't create enclaves without at least some big master planning done between the county and the city in this case, but, so I don't know if you want to put that in there somehow, but yeah.
I think that, I can appreciate trying to get them to something that would be better than 2.6 units to the acre. And I can appreciate the fact that they might take a letter that says 1 to 5 is all that we'll be happy with and throw it in the trash. So, in order to try to get them to a place that would be a compromise, I think it's just how we word the letter. We let them know that our preference would be 1 to 5. But we understand that might not be realistic, and that we would, but that we would appreciate if they would consider 1 to 1.
Well, the ultimate goal would be them not to annex it in. That would be my ultimate goal, and I'm going to be making phone calls requesting that, but.
Well, then maybe that's where we start, then.
But we need to have a letter follow up, and that's what this all
All right, so our preference is that they don't annex. If they annex, keep it 1 to 5. Obviously, that's not going to happen. That's not a consistent urban density. So really, the ask is not to annex. If they do annex, we're asking that they would consider a 1-to-1, which would, so is there a consensus to that or a motion to go that route?
I don't think you need a motion, right?
No, you can do it by consensus. Who will be the signatory on the letter, chairman or district commissioner?
I can send it.
Okay, I can prepare something for you to look at.
Okay, next one.
Next item is an annexation that is 25.07 acres. The location is south of Gospel Hill Road, east of Number 2 Road. Current Lake County zoning is agriculture. The proposed city zoning is planned unit development. Current Lake County FLU is rural transition. The proposed city FLU is estate residential. Lake County density is 1 dwelling unit per either 1 to 5 net acres, depending on the open space. And then the proposed city density is 3 dwelling units per 1 acre. The intent is to develop the property with a residential use. Lake County Solid Waste has stated that there are certain AKs that will remain under Lake County service through September 30th, 2026. Lake County Public Works is stating that there are deeded easements. There are deeded easements for road, drainage, and utility that are named Gospel Hill and Helgs Road that will need to be transferred to the city of Leesburg or vacated with future development of the property. And those certainly will become comments that Public Works will make as this property, if this property develops. These are the zoning and land use maps for Lake County. As you can see, this is surrounded by the city of Leesburg. That's indicated by the hash mark. And then this is the story map as well for the city of Leesburg. All that blue is where they are developing. This is going to be included, I believe, as the Lake Margaretta development. I'll back up just one. You can see the L shape that is outlined here in red. That fills in the middle part to the right of where it says Lake Margaretta. With that, I'll answer any questions.
I think we should ask them not to annex it.
Yeah, this is outside their ISBA, isn't it? I thought Number 2 Road was their ISBA boundary.
No, sir, this is within their, they can annex this property. This is contiguous to Leesburg, and it's inside their ISBA.
Can you go forward a little bit?Maybe I'm looking at this thing a little.
I can't zoom this.
Now, are they in the rural protection area?
They are not in a rural protection area, no, sir.
Can you move forward one where it shows the whole density?
You want to see the density?
Right, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. So,
How close is this to Number 2 that loops around and goes back up to 48, starting on 19 and loops to that series of roads? There's 2 roads in there. I can't think of the name of the other one, maybe the other.
I think go back one more.
I'm not sure how.
There's a north-south road. It comes off of 48. It does loop around the backside of Highway Number 2, I think.
Number 2 road.
Yeah,
is
number-
Number
on
2.
The other side of the left-hand side of the next parcel is where Number 2 road is.
I think this is the one.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
most
you can
zoomed
see it
out
here.
You can see County Road 48 to the north.
Because whatever happens, any development in that area, now that there should be some plan for Number 2, not to bring up the Number 2 topic again, but about what to do with that road long-term from 48 all the way down to 19, they need to contribute to that.
So we have had discussions with Leesburg about Number 2 Road, and they have agreed to take Number 2 Road. That'll be coming forward in a road transfer agreement shortly. But from their development, it's just north of the big curve when it's going back up to 48, and then north to 48.
But this other one, wait, oh, okay, I'm sorry, we're still on this one. Okay.
Go back to the other map. There we go. So number 2 road runs up to the east of 400, 306, and 237, right? Alt codes.
Where is it in relation to this
Over
one?
here, I think.
Let me go back to this map. You can
There,
see that
you
number
can-
2.
That's it, and then there's
Number
your-
2 road runs north-south just to the west of Lake Margaretta. County Road 448 comes up to the
So
north.
if this is added to that Lake Margaretta subdivision, now you're putting more over on number 2.
Yeah.
So I say that we ask them,
Not in the rural protection area?
but it is in our rural transition land use designation. So you could ask
And
them.
it is a planned development. With a master plan, right? And they're going to take over the roads, and they're going to provide water and sewer.
Yeah, what's the open space? Is it commensurate to our?
Well, this is a zoning thing. We don't have concept plans.
Their proposed open space is 35.
And this isn't,
Here
this
it
isn't
is.
even our zoning.
Here it is. Here's what they are required by their code, 35%.
I mean, could we ask for 50% open space?
I think the ask should be not to annex, if they do annex, that they would honor our rural transition open space requirements. I mean, that might be a way to suggest a compromise.
Yeah.
I mean, our rural transition would be 1-to-1, would be your highest density at 50% open space.
The
1-to-1 is
1-to-
50%. Yeah,
1 would be 50, yes, ma'am.
but theirs is 3-to-1.
And yet, if they annex in, they're going to get water, they're going to get sewer, they're going to get new roads, right? So all their infrastructure, and it's a planned unit. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. And then one would argue with the 50% that there would be more clustering, so it actually could be more efficient for them if they're going to provide water and sewer. But through the PUD process, you're right.
I think you just, you just recommend that they would consider that.
So that, just to make sure, do we have consensus for this one to send a letter, again, requesting no annexation, but if they're going to annex, to honor our rural transition open space at 50%? Okay. And then just to clarify Jennifer's comment, they are taking the road transfer to the city council on March 23rd, and it will include, it will include about 9 roads, one of which is number 2 road from County Road 48 to the terminus of the ISBA.
Should we wait before we send this letter to see what they do with the road?
When is this annexation?
March 23rd is the date of all
Same
3 of these
Same day.
annexations.
So could you include in the letter that you would like to see that the road agreement go through? I mean, that's a critical part of this. But, I mean, that's a key part of it.
That would
they're
be,
actually-
that would be part of your, if they decide to annex it, you would like them to go ahead and take the road and do the 50% open space?
Yeah, because they're happening the same night, so. I mean, on the county's land use map, nothing out in this area has ever been designated urban or urban low that I know of. Is it at Trimpe Place and those, are those urban?
We have rural transition in the area to the east, and we have some rural there to the southeast. most of the property that's surrounding it is in the city of Leesburg, right?
Okay.
Currently.
No, I was just trying to get if, I mean,
What was it before?
what was it before? I mean, I don't think there was urban out in this area.
I don't have that information,
Yeah, I
unfortunately.
don't think so. That's why we were not happy about all of the land on Dewey Robbins being annexed, is that it was rural. Okay, we have one more?
Yes, ma'am. The next annexation to be heard by the City Commission on March 23rd. The size is 202.6 acres. This is east of County Road 33, south of Lake Bride Street, west of County Road 33, south of Desert Lane. Current Lake County zoning is agriculture. Proposed city zoning is planned unit development. Current Lake County FLU is rural. Proposed city FLU is estate residential. Current Lake County density is 1 dwelling unit per 5 net acres, and the proposed city density is 2.47 dwelling units per 1 acre. The intent is to develop the property with residential uses. There are certain AKs that will remain within the Lake County Residential Solid Waste Program through September 30th, 2026. It's important to note that a roadway improvement and impact fee credit agreement for County Road 470, County Road 48, at County Road 33 intersection improvements was approved by the Board of County Commissioners on September 9th, 2025. So that was for improvements to the intersection at County Road 33. Lake County Public Works has indicated major comments for County Road 33. Turn lanes are required at County Road 33. Additional right-of-way will be required at County Road 33. A trail fronting County Road 33 will need to be accommodated, and a traffic impact analysis will be required. This is the zoning and the land use in the area for, currently for Lake County. It's a little harder to see on this map. This property is south of where you're seeing Preservation Place. This is a non-contiguous annexation. You can see on this map just barely where the hash mark is for the city of Leesburg, up on the top of the map. And then that is where Preservation Place is, and then this property is generally to the south of that. And it borders east and west of County Road 33. The best way to get a perspective, a vantage point, if you see that treed area with that heart-shaped lake in the middle, if I back this up, you can see the treed area with the lake in the middle, and that is the property that is being annexed, highlighted in yellow. And then if I come back down,
There's the heart.
it's in that area.
So, yeah, I remember going out and seeing this Preservation Place. This is where there's actually the Water Authority has that easement over there, and you can go underneath the turnpike. We took kayaks and we went underneath the turnpike and then went through there. And I just remember it was heartbreaking to be on that property and think that it was going to be completely developed, like just, and I think there's a lot of floodplain in that area too. That particular property, after we had a lot of rain, it had a lot of water. I think there was an issue where our Public Works Department was trying to work with the City of Leesburg because there was so much of that Preservation Place property that was holding water, and that was, they had lots and roads that were actually in areas that were floodplain. Anyway, our designation is 1 to 5. It's not contiguous. I don't think we should, I think we should oppose it. We should.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to point out, this board did approve intersection improvements from this development already.
But the intersection improvements are,
On 33-470, it's the 33-470 intersection, correct, Mike?
Or was that at Bridges Road?
I'm sorry?
Where were the improvements on this map?
Jeff?
I do not have an map. I'll defer to
It's
Public Works.
470 and 48, I thought.
Morning. They're at 33, 470, and 48, right where the barber shop is and the gas station. And the developer's agreement says that within 6 months of them getting their approvals from the city, that they would construct the new turn lanes and the traffic signal there. They were estimated to be about $2 million.
So but that agreement is based on the idea that Leesburg was going to move forward and annex this. So the best we could do is try to get some road improvements. I mean, I appreciate getting the road improvements out of it, but I still think it's horrible. I think it's.
Absolutely not a fair trade-off. I support a letter of opposition.
Should it go forward? I mean, we understood that these road improvements would happen in accordance with the development agreement.
Definitely.
I'm sorry, can you keep just toggle back a little bit to all key numbers? Yeah.
You want to say the aerial?
Yeah, the aerials. Okay, so this.
Mike, how far is 48 to the north?
I'm going to guess a mile, 2 miles. Sorry, I'm trying to get back to the aerial.
And you mentioned a trail? The trail was going to be along 33?
The comment that we have received is that a trail along the development road frontage for County Road 33 will need to be accommodated.
Okay. And that would go in parallel to that heart-shaped lake right there then? Yeah.
If the PD&E study says goes on that side.
I mean, was there anything from like environmental resources and, I mean, floodplains, I think Chair mentioned that earlier, but, I mean, that looks like a system that kind of loops around all the way to the larger wetland system there.
We do not have comments at this time, but certainly through our intergovernmental coordination, we should be seeing the development plans for this. And if there are issues with the floodplain, then we'll certainly comment on it.
Yeah, I just look at it and see, with my environmental hat on, conservation hat, better word, the, concern about wildlife corridors. No, it's not an officially designated state wildlife corridor, but at a lower level, kind of regionally or within Lake County, what if that's going to be solid development there, what that would impact. I mean, the effects on any kind of connectivity.
Yeah, certainly alternate key 104, 4189 would be a great candidate for some conservation.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
The 1044189, is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
That's what I was asking about, the resources on the site, maybe I thought. It doesn't look like it was citrus, maybe at least in a long, long time, or ever.
So maybe in the request, we're opposed to annexation. We understand that it's likely to move forward. We have a new development agreement for road improvements, but we're asking that they would consider the opportunity for the alt key 1044189 to be reviewed for in conservation purposes and wildlife preservation.
Wildlife
connectivity. What do you think? Do we have a consensus?
Fine with me.
All right, any more?
That's it.
That's all.
He's the charm.
That's because all of Sean's been annexed in.
What's
You don't have
that?
anything down there, right?
No, I still got Ferndale, and yeah.
Okay, all right. Then moving to tab 20. This is Melanie,
Actually, Jeff.
or Jeff.
Good morning, Jeff Earhart, Engineering. I don't have any fancy maps to show you, but this is associated with the Britt Road reconstruction where it washed out. This is to acquire approximately .12 acres on the west side. We acquired the project piece, and this is just a little bit of right-of-way and a little bit of pipe going out into the pasture land on the other side to show that we definitely own it by deed and not just by right. It's about, I think it's $14,500, and they're open to moving forward. And that will be the last piece of right-of-way that we need, which we would just need to finish the permit with St. John's, and then DOT would give us the approval to bid the project.
So we did send a purchase agreement out to the property owner's attorney. I think it's WDL is the name of the property owner. We sent that out Friday. We got it back this morning with a couple of minor comments that I think we can fix quickly. Nothing major, so we're hopeful that they will sign that today and that we can quickly move this to closing. One of the items that we are asking for you to do today is to waive the due diligence that we usually undergo. We already have the survey from our in-house folks as far as environmental or those types of things, because this is adjacent to the right-of-way. I don't foresee that there's going to be any issues with that, so we're comfortable asking you to waive that. And our plan is to hopefully get it to closing no later than 30 days, but certainly sooner than that if we can make that happen.
So if it goes to closing, let's just say it goes to closing in a week, you literally could start your bidding process for the actual Britt Road construction at that point.
I'm expecting comments back from St. John's today on the permit there. So once we get that permit, then DOT would deem everything complete, and then they supposedly have 4 to 6 weeks to give us permission to bid. Then after that point, we'd be able to bid the project.
But they know how urgent this is.
They know how urgent it is.
I've sat in the room with
So
those
it would likely be
discussions.
expedited, but that's what they have shared with us is
Yeah,
those timeframes.
and then we would begin working.
Yes, as soon as possible, yes.
And so, go ahead.
Is WDL Property Holdings 8 LLC, is that the nursery?
They lease the property, the nursery leases the property from WDL Holdings. So that's where the nursery is, but they're not the ones operating the nursery. They're just the property owners. And this property is actually it's most of, 0.1 acres is between the edge of pavement and the fence line, and then 0.02 is just a little bit going out so we can extend our stormwater pipe and make the grades better.
These are the same people that we asked previously to sell us a portion of their property so we could do Britt Road on the other side.
Correct. These are the same people that we talked about, maybe putting a pond over there and other stuff, and they were not interested in selling property that would diminish their future.
This is the forever project, isn't it?
It's taking forever for sure, but I think it's promising the fact that they were the ones that wouldn't sell to us before, but they're willing to do this drainage easement. I think that's very positive. It makes the project better because when the water's flowing in from that property going under that road, having an actual drainage easement is really important.
Is this going to be a 50-50 match also? Or I see that purchase price is still being negotiated, but is not anticipated to exceed $30,000 without further board approval, and the physical impact's $14,500.
Yeah,
So is it a 50-50 match?
So there's no grant funding for this purchase. This is just straight coming from whatever funding source Jennifer has. The reason we put a cap in there is because at the time we put the agenda item in, we had not heard back from the property owner, so we weren't sure whether or not they would attempt to negotiate the price, but it appears that they are fine with the price because that is not one of the comments that they have made.
So they're fine with 14.5?
I believe so.
And the pipe that was under the road, that's all crushed and gone now, but that basically connected where the WDL property is down towards the lower
Correct, yeah,
areas.
the pipe went under the road, and this is meant to extend that pipe a little bit further, make the grading, grade back to ground something less than 1-to-1. So we can like 1-to-4, so it ties in much better.
All right. Any other questions? Can we get a motion?
I'm just going to make a statement. I'm going to vote against this because I don't believe that we should have brought the Broad Check property in the first place for that outrageous amount of money. So this is just on me and my stance on that.
All right.
That's my sentiments exactly. So
But-
I'll be voting against it also.
All right. I'm hoping we have 3 votes because Britt Road is critical as a north-south connector from State Road 44 down to Wolf Branch Road. And without it, it is creating huge problems for the residents of Lake County.
Well, we've already bought the property over at Broad Check, so there's nothing we can do about that now.
But we can get an easement so that we can make sure that the drainage works as properly as it possibly
What I'm
can.
saying is there's nothing we can do about the Broad Check property now. So let's move forward.
All right.
I'm in strong support, move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, moving to reports. All right, County Attorney. County Manager.
No reports.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Just that we're in the last week of the legislative session. It's already announced that they're going to continue or have a special session or 2 special sessions. So keep focused on the bills. We've already talked about it. The blue ribbon bill is a real problem. We talked about a bunch of different bills over the last couple of months. So I won't beat a dead horse, but definitely pay attention because the next 72 hours is the most important 72 hours of the session. Thanks. That's all I have.
Commissioner Parks.
Yeah, similar comments. Watch what's happening right now with legislature, and I guess we'll have a chance to talk about it again at our next meeting, but really appreciate, and I think it's a good idea, the resolution we did today, so it's cool that we all did that. Also, Fire, I just wanted to thank again, if you could relay from all of us, I'm sure we can't do it enough, but I know they're working hard right now, especially with some of these fires and everything, so definitely, I know they're busy and doing a lot of extra work, so appreciate that. Wanted to express that to you, to express to them. And then finally, a reminder, commissioners, the application process is open for the Public Lands and Trails Acquisition Committee. It's ongoing. As you know, we did that about a month ago now. There's still a period of time. There are opportunities, and I know I've seen, as I get out more and more in Lake County, there are sites now that I see where you can combine them with, there's combination opportunities with public lands, the Rural and Family Lands Protection Act money. So just remember, if you don't know, you probably know this already, but that has been funded to like 500 million or plus, okay? Florida Forever is not funded. I think it's only like $25 million in that, which is like, it went from hundreds of millions down to only 25 million. I think that's the last number I heard. But the alternative is there's lots of money in the Rural and Family Lands Protection Act under Commissioner Simpson. And I see opportunities, again, that I can't stress enough. Maybe people don't know about them, but to get those applications in, it might be good opportunities for us where you can combine both working lands and ag component with an environmental conservation kind of component as well to the land. And that partnership opportunity makes it more likely or probable, could be potential that we could acquire that to protect the Lake County that we know and love so much. So that's all up to you. Just keep getting those people in your district, to apply. They can, how long do we have? Another month? April 17th. Okay, yeah. So a little over a month.
Okay.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
The only thing I have is I hope that everybody keeps the thoughts and prayers of our service members in their thoughts and prayers during this time.
Commissioner Morris.
The only thing I have, I would like us to start considering a position underneath the county manager for a governmental affairs person. I did send a synopsis of what I thought would be a good one to the county manager, if she would forward that on, maybe mark it up and what you would think, and so we could start having a discussion with somebody that's going to be able to go with us possibly to the city meetings, go to the meetings that Jennifer has to go to a lot, that takes a lot of her time, maybe working with people in Tallahassee along with our lobbyist. But I think we've grown large enough now that that should be a position that we need to look at.
And I'd be supportive of that discussion. I think there is some ways to maybe restructure, and having a person like that could be a benefit directly to us, by the way, to all, the ability for all 5 of us, that if 1 or 2 of us are at FAC, or you're at something that's important, or you're at something that's important, to go to either Tallahassee or to legislatively to meet with our local delegation, that could be a real benefit to that. So I'm open to that.
I'll look at the description. I'm a little confused.
Yeah, I'm very hesitant. I'm open-minded to the conversation. I'm hesitant to making a final decision this early. Dollar for dollar, if the goal is to get something done, hiring an independent lobbyist for a specific issue in Tallahassee is going to be 10 times more effective than somebody that's sort of a catch-all generalist, especially if they're focusing on local stuff, like going to local government meetings. My fear, I'm not suggesting this is where it's going to result, but my fear going into the conversation is you end up with one of these glad handers where the name tag just goes to every single meeting, and it's like, hello, how's everyone? I work for the county, and doesn't actually do anything. That's my fear. I'm not saying that's likely. I'm just saying, like, we don't want to end up with that.
Well,
What we want to end up with is a targeted killer lobbyist.
When you see what the synopsis is, that you'll see it's just not somebody that's a glad hander. It is, they're going to be very focused on what they're doing.
And you know what we could do, sorry to interrupt, but we can look at those numbers, because if you, to your point, I agree that, you do hire, there are some specialist lobbyists that do a great job, but if we have like 10 specific issues, it might be this huge number to hire, 3 or 4 different lobbyists for that.
I would like to see what he's proposing before we decide to beat it up.
Right.
Yeah, before we
No,
beat it up, I think we all have,
Right.
in our mind, we're thinking,
it's a good-
Well, it's a good start.
It is.
Yeah, let's start the discussion.
I think, can I just say one more thing? I think it's this conversation that has to happen synonymously with what it is we want out of our normal routine lobbyists too. I think the two definitely go hand in hand, so we should talk about it.
My understanding is that contract's up anyway, right? It's on a renewal.
It's,
The last renewal is this year. It expires on December 31st of this year. So we'll be going out to bid sometime over the summer.
but, okay. No,
That's just a good time to put anything in the bid that we would want.
Yeah.
right, to define the scope. Is it somebody that's smoothing over and trying to get legislative priorities through versus somebody who's advocating against or for particular pieces of legislation?
Yeah. And
So that bid's going to go out this summer, so you might want to start thinking about that.
But I welcome the discussion, and it's, that's good. It's brave to bring it up, but in a good
Brave?
way. No, I appreciate that, because I've seen what other counties, and there are some good examples. There might be some bad examples too,
Right.
but I think I welcome the discussion. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
All right, well, when will we see that?
I will email the synopsis out today.
Okay, all right, very good. And that's it? Okay. On my report, I was able to, I had the honor of being at the Florida Greenways and Trails Foundation meeting on March the 5th to welcome everyone that was there to Lake County. And it was a great event. Gallus was there, and he did an excellent presentation of all things happening in Lake County trail-wise. I was so impressed with it that I thought that it would be a really good time for us to maybe host a couple town hall meetings where people could come and see the different trails that are planned, under construction, the ones that are, a lot of them are happening in South Lake, where you have developers are being required to build this or build that to connect to something else. It's just all over Lake County. It would be a great time to update the public and people that are interested in that topic. So I just wanted to see if there was support to host some town halls about trails.
Totally supportive, but my request would be if you could include the fiscal situation and how much trails cost, and I don't know how you work that in there with just a little bit of a educational component to that, that here's the plan, but we're not, we have this far to go to make it cost feasible, if you will.
Yeah, you just have to figure out the way to work it in,
I know you
whether
do.
this is like an opportunity for people just to get that overview and to keep tabs on what's happening around them and what they can be excited about. You know, I feel like the discussion about, you know, the funding, the maintenance, and all that is more of a workshop for the county commission. I just would hate to lose the opportunity just to engage the public and keep them, you know.
That's always the goal, but at the same time, if you know, I just think those are great meetings, but sometimes there's okay, that's great, and they think it's gonna happen, and then it, you know, takes years, like the roads workshops that we do.
Yeah, and I mean, my focus was what's on, like, not necessarily here's the master trail plan, that's great. You know, we don't know, some of these things are many, many years out, but I wanted to focus on what's actually happening right now. I mean, the list, I was impressed with the things that are like literally going on at this moment. And I think that that's really where I wanted to focus. We do have to update our master trails plan, so there is going to be that like formal process of having meetings to get input. And I would think that would probably be a really good time to have that fiscal discussion as you're talking about the master trails plan and looking way out. This would be more of just letting the public know where we're at right now, what's been built, what's just right on the horizon, that type of an update.
I think it'd also be a good idea to include the cities to see what they're building trails to connect it to our trails.
Yeah, it's a great chance for them to see and our plan and for us to look at what they've got going. And, all right, so we're good. We're in agreement on that. The other thing I wanted to bring up was I have an apology for Cindy Newton because she wanted to talk about Britt Road. And Cindy, if you want to come up under my report and have your comments. No, she's okay. Well, I mean, we're welcome to hear your comments if you'd like to come up. Okay. And then, let's see, the last thing is this afternoon, I'm going with the county manager, with David Kilberry, John Simpson. We have a whole group that are going on the ambulance update for the city of Claremont. And so we're going to be able to provide an update on everything that's happened since we had those discussions back in October and November. And we've got some really great, exciting news to share as far as number of ambulances that are out on the street and response times, as well as ongoing needs for locations inside the city limits.
Appreciate
So-
you doing that.
So has the city agreed to allow our ambulance inside their city?
I'm going today in the hope of delivering a really positive message, and that will create the synergy necessary for us to have those agreements
Yeah, I think it's
honored that are currently
great
in
for the
existence.
citizens of Claremont.
Absolutely.
There's some good news.
There is good news, and there's the opportunity for even better response
Yeah, I
times.
thought Claremont had agreed to allow us in there. I didn't know they hadn't yet, so good luck.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And did you have a closing remark about how special today is?
I know everybody, and this is actually a good one, because today is National Pack Your Lunch Day.
I didn't pack a lunch. I didn't pack a lunch.
It's
You have
National
you have
Pack Your
time. You have
Lunch
time
Day.
now to go
So I
pack
should
your
go home
lunch.
and pack a
Yeah,
lunch and come back?
there you go. All right, well, we stand adjourned.